Wait, we're not on the screen. No, we're on the screen.
Hello, my beautiful folks and peoples. We're back. So, I don't know what my wife doing right now. Ooh, look at them gray hairs. Ooh, jeez.
Because I'm trying to get the stuff on here, back on here. We have some technical difficulties again.
Technical. Being difficult.
Thanks to it's your fault.
Yeah, everything's always my fault. We've established that, baby. I'm used to it by now.
Did you share it?
No. Why is my phone? Here it is. Yeah.
Okay. Who said I like gloves? Who is Sam Gloves?
Huh?
Yeah, I think that's I don't know what they call them things. Like, don't click on that because I don't know who that is. Somebody trying to be funny.
Hey, I'm glad you like gloves. Yeah, I don't use rubbers, so gloves.
That's somebody trying to be funny. Like, you know how sometimes you get them bots or something that comes under your thing?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. Hey, PJ.
What's going on, Mr. Pajamas? Get it, PJ Pajamas? Ha ha he. What's going on now?
No, I don't get it.
I know. I was trying.
That's so corny.
I know. What up?
All right, top of the hour. Let's see.
What everybody want to talk about? What everybody talking about right now? You already know what it is, baby. Something you're supposed to be doing that you ain't done yet.
Okay, but before we get there, though, we got to recap because we've been away for 2 weeks. So, 2 weeks we were away because we were traveling to Iowa, and we were going to do a live in the car, but I don't know what happened. I think I got sleepy.
Everybody went to sleep but me because I had to drive 17 hours, but continue on.
So we went to Iowa, and then last week we were just getting back, right?
Yeah.
We were just getting back, so that's why we didn't have a show. But
which I drove 17 more hours.
It was actually 16 hours and something. But anyway, so had a very nice birthday party. And I posted the pictures. I think Jermaine posted some pictures. Some other people posted some pictures. But it was really cool because it was Victorian themed from the Victorian era. And no, I did not get that from Bridgerton because I've never even watched that show. But I've always liked movies like Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility. And at first I was going to go with a disco theme, but I was like, no, everyone does that for their birthday party. So let me try to do something unique. So I did Victorian. What I didn't know is that so many people would be engaged with it and interested in the Victorian era and the clothing. So everyone came out and had they told me they had a really good time, and everyone was dressed in like Victorian era outfits, and it was just awesome because, you had to go buy petticoats and everything. So he said we dress like them. Exactly. That's, and it was really cool because we found the perfect place for it, which was it's a house in Cedar Falls that's what I want to say restored to the original. I don't know. It was restored, and it's very Victorian, and it just fit right in perfectly with the theme because we had a tea party there, and the tea party during the day was just perfect, and we had the ball at night, which was awesome. So plenty of food. Plenty of tea and coffee and too much sweets because we were eating donuts and muffins and cake for a very long time. So anyway, that was my birthday party, and we had fun. Okay, so what's the other top of the hour? Chris Brown got arrested, and I guess he got denied bail. We all know that. He had a concert that I think he's gonna miss because of he has to stay there until his next court date, and I think the court date is after his concert date, which is kind of messed up. But the thing is, if Chris knew that he had this hanging over his head, I'm not sure why he went back there not thinking that they were going to arrest him. I don't know what the deal was with that. It'd be interesting to hear why he thought that was the case, or why someone did not inform him or do their job and say,
rich people thinking they can buy their way out of
don't go over there. If I was his attorney, he wouldn't have been over there.
Well, he probably would have been over there. He wouldn't have listened to you.
No, if he wouldn't listen to me, but it wouldn't have been. I'd have been able to say I advised him against going over.
I'm pretty sure they advised him of going over there, but like I said, rich entitlement. People who have money think money will buy them out of everything. That only works in America to an extent.
That's true. That's true. All right. So then the other one is, of course, the Diddy trial.
Free Diddy.
Which it's hard to speak on Diddy trial because the thing is, it's not live. So you're getting everyone's sound bites and bits and pieces of what they want to take from the transcript to kind of give to you, and how they're not even, sometimes they're not even reading directly from the transcript. They're kind of like paraphrasing, and everyone's paraphrasing is different. So it's really hard to get a good grasp on what's going on with that trial, or who looks like they're could be building a strong case and who isn't. It's just hard.
I'll say this, with my wife being an attorney, I always ask questions because it's very intriguing to me, her knowledge of the law and stuff like that. Like, I'm a hoodlum, so I like to know these things just in case I go back to my I'm an ex-hoodlum. Just to go back to my ex-hoodlum.
I wouldn't have dated or married that.
Anyway, my perception is my perception.
Okay, go ahead.
But my point is this. Only thing I'll say is this: Diddy's a piece of, curse word for beating on that woman like that. But from what everybody is reporting, they're making it a domestic violence. Seems like they're making it too much on the domestic violence tip, and that's not what he's being charged with. So I think that's where the prosecution may actually have or will, if they continue down that road, lose the case because of that. Because he's not being charged with, domestic violence and putting his hands on Cassie, which, like I said, is atrocious, and he's a piece of crap for that. So when I said free Diddy, I was joking, but on the same token, from what I'm seeing and I'm not a lawyer at all, but it's just they keep talking about domestic violence. They
are. They're talking a lot about domestic violence. I guess they said the trial is going to last 8 weeks potentially. 8 to 10 weeks, and this is all the state's case. This is their second week. I think they spent mainly focusing on domestic violence, which I think is kind of silly because we already know that he abused her, right? Just from the video alone, there was domestic violence. So I'm not sure why they're spending such an exorbitant amount of time on domestic violence, and why they haven't introduced an expert on domestic violence and the mental aspect with that, everything mental that comes with that. So I'm not sure why they're not doing that and why they haven't done that yet. I guess maybe they'll do it later, but it seems to me like by the time they get around to it, some of the stuff that you wanted the jury to kind of keep in their mind about the stuff that could be prejudicial and maybe sway the jury their way is going to be forgotten, because now you're about to bury it with a bunch of other stuff, right? So if you were going to do that, I would have thought you would have did it towards the middle or closer to the end, kind of like your Big Bang finale. Because if you leave the jury with that type of image in their head going into the jury room, then into deliberations, I think you have a better chance at what they're trying to do. But it's a RICO charge. I'm not sure why they're focusing so much on that. I think the hurdle they're going to have to overcome is the whole prostitution and the transporting issue, because so far them demonstrating that he was the one actually paying them and transporting them, their evidence so far in that area has been really weak. So I just don't know. It's enough for reasonable doubt. Like it hasn't. I don't think they've overcome their reasonable doubt burden at all yet. And then I see where, from what I'm getting, and they're not. If you haven't noticed, they're not really telling a lot about the defense crosses. Like they'll give you bits and pieces of how they cross the person, but like the media is so biased because from what they're giving us, you would think that the defense is really just not doing a good job at cross-examination at all. And I bet you that if you were actually in the courtroom, you would probably see a very different story than what they're telling right now, because it's making it seem like the defense is not really cross-examining these witnesses like they would. But he has really top-notch attorneys, and I can't imagine that some of the things I'm thinking they should be asking these witnesses, they're not asking them. So I just think that
and then
the media bias and is crazy.
And to that bias, I'll say this, and then we can move on. We was talking about this. It's like when this case first started, you heard about Usher, Justin Bieber, all these celebrities that got Diddy-fied or whatever. That you thought it made it seem like that you was gonna have all of these higher up congressmen and statesmen and celebrities all in a party smoking dope, and Diddy forcing it down his throat, and you better go in that room. And that's how the media portrayed it, right? Like you was gonna have all of this, but all we keep hearing about is how freaky he is and how freaky he made Cassie. And like,
yeah, it's just really strange.
Like,
I was thinking like the freak offs that they were talking about were these things that were happening like after his parties with like this select group of celebrities, and everybody was getting together, and some people were being drugged and didn't know that they were being drugged, and he was slipping roofies in people's drinks and having introduce people with the baby oil when they walked in the door. Like, here's some baby oil laced with some drugs that's gonna get you high and want you
to rub it on their body, and everybody starts saying, "Hey, what we gonna do?"
But yeah, right now it's just like it's really just him.
Just he treated Cassie like beat Cassie up, treated her like crap, and
him, Cassie, and some sex workers had sex like
all the time. Like that's
I don't know what the freak off is. That just sounds like a freak to me.
Sound like him and Cassidy was doing some freaky stuff and kept doing freaky stuff, and maybe she did get tired of it, and he kept wanting to do freaky stuff. But I don't know. That's just weird. But anyway,
yeah, it was. It's just very, very strange that we're in somebody's bedroom like that. I don't really know. But anyway, so the topic for today is about love and whether or not love is enough to sustain a relationship or marriage, or do you need more than just love?
I didn't send you that.
You did send me that.
I did.
That was on the list. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So say that one more time so I can understand.
Is love enough? I mean, is love enough? Is it enough to go into a relationship, marriage with love? Is that enough?
I don't remember saying that, but that's a pretty good topic. You want to go first?
You go.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I'll say no, being in love for the first time in my life, like generally in love with you. And how we started off, it was enough to make me want to change my ways. I would say if you were in a different place when I met you, I don't think it would have been enough, because I probably would have needed to have more or do more on top of loving you. So I would say that most people think it is. But if I had to answer honestly, I don't, and I'm talking about being in love and true love. It depends on what you're doing with the love, like, because love encompasses a lot, right? So if you're doing everything and you know how to love from the beginning, it can be. Let me say.
Well, that was the point I was going to make too, because it's funny when I looked it up in the little quick minutes I had. With the research was saying, no, love isn't enough, because you also need, like Matt says, you also need loyalty, you need trust, you need respect, you need communication. And so you need commitment, you need emotional support. And I'm thinking like, okay, so then what is love? Because when you think about it, and I think that this is what most people think, they still kind of box love into this feeling, right? This feeling, this euphoria, this emotional type thing. And that's love is that. But there's also other components to love that I always keep talking about, which is the action part of love. So love is also action. Love is also doing things. And if you look, even coming from a Christianity, biblical standpoint, love encompasses all these things. That's why the greatest of all things is love. And I more and more I realize the reason why the greatest of all things is love is because if you have love, and if you truly know what love is, and if it's sincere and genuine love, it's encompassing all the other stuff anyway. I don't know how people can say that they respect someone and not love them. I mean, love someone and not respect them. I just don't. How can you love someone and not be honest with them? If you think about how love is supposed to be, isn't love all these things anyway?
Right.
Or it should be.
So then
It should be an effort towards all these things.
And that's what I said. Like that's why I said effort. If you number one, you have to understand what love is, right? Like I said, I can always talk about me because I don't really want to talk about nobody else. It took me forever into finding you, and I'm still learning about what love is. Because what I would have defined as love, and what I think that a lot of people would define that love is not really love. They just stop with the emotional, I have this bubbly feeling for you type of thing. And that's fine, but you have to go further than that.
Or the intimacy part. That's what they look
matter of fact, I'll tell you what I just told her today, right? On the way home, I was looking at my wife while she was over there snoring with her glasses on.
I was asleep. I was trying to sleep.
Yeah, you were snoring kind of loud. But I looked over there and I was like, yeah, I really do love her. And, from time to time, I have to tell her I appreciate her. And I appreciate the change that she helped me start making with myself. And that's part of love, right? So it's part of love from what you did and helping me and guiding me and me listening and understanding. All of that encompasses love, right? But again, you have to have the effort and the willingness to want to be able to do those things and start with the understanding of what love encompasses. I did not know. Right. I did not. I thought, like I told you, this is what I said. I told her earlier. I thought me not cheating on her, me not having any extra curriculums, females calling me and side things going on, and all of that was enough to show my love and sustain a marriage. And she told me in the beginning, through our counseling sessions, she was like, how do you word it? You were scared that I don't understand what love is or what a marriage encompasses. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I ain't in that. As long as I stay faithful and I ain't messing with women, I'm good. Like that's what. And yeah, so I didn't understand those things, and I think a lot of people get stuck with that, and they just think it's like in the box that I think. As long as I'm not cheating, right, and as long as that's love, faithful, right? As long as I'm paying the bills, as long as I'm that's what. And here's the thing that I seen that I agree with too, and I had been through this before prior. It's like with love, it's sort of like being in the house but not in the house as well. So a lot of people will think that because you at home that should be good enough for your partner. You can be at home and not be at home. Well, you can say you love someone but not doing the things that love encompasses and the little things, and that person feel like they're alone and not loved. So I would say love is not enough. Not just love. If you don't know what it means, I'll put it like that. Let me say it that way. If you don't know what what real love is and how to love, then I don't think it's never going to be enough if you don't know. But I think that if you're talking about love in the truest sense of the word, then it is enough. It definitely is enough because love again is there's an intentional aspect about love, and we forget that part too. So every day when they talk about choosing to love and love is a choice, you're making a choice to love someone. That also means intentionally thinking about, okay, what does my partner need today? What is my partner feeling today? Should I be helping out more around the house? And a lot of that comes from communication, right? So if you're communicating with your partner and they're saying stuff like, and that's part of love. Love should make you want to communicate with your partner to make sure that you are checking all the boxes that you can possibly check with them, right? In your relationship, in your marriage. So love should make you want to communicate and say, hey, am I doing enough? Is there more that you need from me? What do you need from me? Where can I better support you? That's all love. Like, so everything that we're talking about with the physical intimacy, the emotional support, the all of that comes from love. Now, I know a big one is about this when people talk about shared interest in activity, right? Because they think that you have to have shared interest in activity. I don't think you necessarily do. I don't think you do, as long as you're not allowing the activities that you don't share to consume your relationship and your marriage. For example, there's plenty of people when I was in bike clubs and all that stuff that complain because they're like, my spouse don't like to be in the club. They don't like to go to parties. And I think that's fine. Maybe your spouse isn't the partying type. The issue becomes when you are constantly choosing your alone interests
over spending time with your spouse, or you're constantly choosing that over engaging in your spouse's interest because you do that out of love. Like, you shouldn't have to have everything that's a shared interest. I should want, like, even with his like fishing thing, right? I'd be like, I don't want to fish with you because you do it too differently. But to me, when I go with him, or when he says, I want you to come see something, and I do it, it's because I know it's going to make, no, I'm just saying, like, you have me walking out under them bridges and stuff. And I was like, I really don't feel like doing this right now.
You did that.
But like, when I do it, it's because
I was about to say, when the last time you were fishing?
Right. But when I do it, it's more so because, like, okay, I know that this is what he gets joy out of. So why would I not want to do something that my partner's going to get joy out of?
I was just trying to find some way to throw you when you make me mad. Anyway,
the point is, like, you should be engaging in those activities that maybe you're not as interested in, just for the simple fact that your spouse just loves them, like your spouse enjoys them. And so going a few times out of the year is not going to hurt you. And your spouse going with you a few times out of the year is not going to hurt you. But you just don't let that uncommon interest consume all of your time. And that's the problem, I think, more so than anything. So I don't think you have to have shared interests in activities. You just don't. Some people are not going to have those, period.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'll say something else too. Like, we had and this, again, with me learning about some of the things love encompasses, right? We've gotten to a point now where we disagree. We have our debates, but I just told our counselor this the other day. It's rare that we raise our voice now, because we can be mad at one another, and then how we're talking now, this is how we communicate. And to me, that's part of love, because I know she's a firecracker. I know I used to be a firecracker and probably still can be. So if she started raising her voice, that's going to make me raise my voice, and vice versa. So understanding that this is supposed to be, I take it back. This is who I'm going to be with the rest of my life. We had to learn how to control that, because it was rough for a minute. Like, what? No, you ain't listening to me. What? And back and forth. Then nobody hears one another. So I learned that communication, it was very important for us to even start, so we can continue to grow, right? And grow in love. Because if we kept having those type of debates where we couldn't hear each other and not try to figure out, that arguing wasn't going to allow us to yelling wasn't going to allow us to get to the point to hear each other. Well, that's part of love,
right?
And I also understand that it started making me understand part of love is, Jermaine, you can't say, okay, well, it's my way or the highway, or I'm going to do it this way, because I do have a partner. And like those little things, like she said, if you understand what love encompasses, and you're loving truly in the truest form of love, then yeah, it's good, it's enough.
Right.
But how I think America looks at love,
right,
I don't think it is.
Right. No. Yeah.
I don't think it is, because you know how many times that I've heard and I've done myself, hey, I love you. Yeah, we talked about this before. Can you really say you love somebody if you go lay in the bed with somebody that's not your partner and then come back to your partner? Because that's the respect, that's the loyalty, that's the trust, that's everything that you say you love that you're disrespecting. But you're gonna come lay beside them. So how is that love?
Right.
And if you want to say you love the person, the one, you wouldn't have did it. But let's say you think that that's love. There's no way your conscience wouldn't allow. And I told you
right.
For you to sit there and lay beside that person after you didn't violated them, basically.
Right.
Like, how do you do that? That's not love, because you should have more love for your partner. Not only if you, I don't want to call it a mistake, but if you do that, to not violate them even further.
Right. And it's funny though, because I've always said, and I've said it to him before, and I've always said, love demands more. No, that's not love. Love demands more. So don't run out talking about you loving someone if you don't want to really know what all love demands, or if you really don't want to engage in what all love demands, because love demands a lot. It's an absolute lot that love demands from a person. And
even without a relationship, not being in a relationship, is just your neighbor, you're the person on the street. You still supposed to have some, if you're trying to be godly or godlike and walk in a Christian manner, you're supposed to have love for them. So you have to show them like you always talk about grace. You have to show them some grace, even if they are, and this is so hard for me, even if they are being a-holes to you, you still supposed to show them grace, and grace comes with love. So
yeah, So it's
I don't think no relationship can, matter of fact, not even an intimate relationship. I don't think now I think about it, I don't think no relationship really can survive without the full scope of love.
well,
Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a business relationship or whatever.
Right.
So
right, exactly. And I think if you, like you said, if you look at that differently, look at what all love encompasses, I think a lot of people would find that, and I'll say it has to be on both sides, right? It can't just be some one-sided, one person doing all the loving in the right way, and then the other person. So if you want to even look at it from that aspect, yes, I think love is enough, but it has to be love, genuine love on both ends, because now you got two people that are intentionally working to make sure that they're sincere, to make sure that they're trusting some, showing respect and loyalty and caring and all that stuff. That's what love, I think, encompasses.
What's the next one? I sent you like 10 of them.
Yeah, what was the other one?
I don't know. You have to.
He's talking about power couples, and I don't even know if I really.
Yeah, so
that's not. I don't know what that even means anymore.
Well, I would think a power couple. What made me think about that was the shirt that I wore the other day that we had got some years ago that said, "Power." What is it? Power couple, guided by God or something.
Yeah.
So I would think, and I was like, "What?" To your point, when I was sitting there, I was thinking, like, what exactly is a power couple?
Mm-hmm.
And my whole life, when I hear power couple, I've always thought it meant two people with a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. Or then came up together and now they got all type of financial wealth, right? So I was thinking, like, so is that really a power couple? And I was like, yeah, no. In my opinion, it's not.
No,
because you can have all the wealth, you can build a business from scratch, become the richest people in the world, and then you and your partner, guess what? Watch the segue. Don't have the true identity of love, right? So then, are you really a power couple? No, you just a power business partners,
right?
Or even because you're probably not even getting along in that standpoint. If you really didn't put all your time into your business, now you don't have no intimate time. You don't have no personal time. You're not enjoying one another. And you can say, well, my enjoyment is coming from this business, but then do you even know your partner? So then the question is, what is a power couple? I
think a power couple to me is the couple that actually becomes one.
Yeah.
That's the true example of a power couple, because now they're actually moving as a unit. Everything they're doing is in sync with each other, whether it's automatically in sync or in sync because they take the time to discuss it and communicate and put it in sync with each other. So I think that the power couple are the ones that are truly become one and truly move as a unit.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how more powerful you can be other than that.
Yeah, and because and if you embed it, like we talked about a while ago, if your foundation is strong, then the power couple, to me, foundation you can tear everything down. That foundation won't be shaken, broken, cracked, or anything. And because you're a power couple, and like you said, walking in one unison, it's going to build right back up. You don't allow the outside forces and the enemy to come in and disturb what you guys have. That's more of a power couple than somebody that got billions of dollars to me.
Yeah,
because you could take that, you can lose everything and then you still can have your sanity. I would argue, and no, I haven't done no researches, I ain't even gonna put a percent on it, but I would argue if you take somebody like Elon Musk or Donald Trump or Bill Gates or some of these richest people in the world, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, if you take all their money away, they probably would go crazy with them and their wives and stuff like that. But if you take a person that regular people and they're walking in unison with one another and everything in their world is together from the foundation up, if they lose everything, I don't think they'll get shaken as much.
Oh yeah,
because they'll be able to be like, all right, we gotta do this. This is how we're gonna rebuild. This is how we're gonna get this back. Because they're one and they already know that. Okay, well, that ain't gonna break them. I just don't think.
Right, I agree with that.
So a power couple to me is something that won't be broken and can't be broken through temptation or anything else.
I agree.
So
I agree. Speaking of which, because you talk about temptation, that's an interesting one because of what you just said that somebody had said to you about the looking and all that stuff. And I go back to this temptation thing, y'all. We gotta talk about this temptation thing. Man. I just don't. I still don't understand why men.
I think it's a social construct. Before
understand what temptation truly is and what the impact of temptation can have on their behavior and their actions and their relationships. And I say this because it's still too many of y'all just, and it's women too. I don't want to just say just all men are doing this, but it's some type of, like you said, social construct or social thing where men just, for some reason, feel in their bones or their heart that it's just a man's role and it's okay for a man to do stuff that they really shouldn't be doing. Like, it's okay for them to look at other women. It's okay for them to window shop. It's okay for them to make certain comments on women
before she
pictures and videos.
Before she go
I'm
further,
just confused. Why this is still
before
an
she
issue?
go any further, this is what I'm gonna say. And no, I'm not defending me. What I'll say is this. What I'm getting ready to say, and I told you this, if somebody would have told me this or said this to me 10, 15 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, you crazy and you putting on. Mm-hmm. Right? As a man, if you have everything you want in a woman, there's no reason for you to look at anything else. Like I said, I have previously in other relationships, I had the ideology of, as long as I'm looking and I can't touch, right? But to your point of the temptation thing, well, what are you looking for? Because once you look at something, normally if you look at something on window shop, it's because you can't have it. But if you can get it, you're going to get it, right? So the temptation starts forming by you looking, right? By you window shopping. Right. Like I've been looking at cars. Eventually I'm going to go get me a car, right? So that's the form of that. What I will say is I can sit here and say, she seen me looking at a dance video, the little dangerous white girl, whatever her name is, Janelle, whoever, and some of the people, I'm just looking at the videos, and yes, it's grinding in the videos. Consciously, I wasn't looking at the ground, and I like the little dance, right? But she said to me, all they doing is grinding, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, what? I'm not looking at them grinding. I just like the little head bob that she do, right? But then I had to think about what you're saying. Eventually, I keep seeing these videos. I'm going to sooner or later pay attention to the grind, and if I keep looking at them, right? Because I'm human, not that I'm looking at it for the sexual aspect of it. You're not, you're going to look at the head bob. Okay, well, now I'm looking at the footsteps. Now I'm looking at how they move. Like, it's going to happen. Right. And then now what does that can lead to? Like you said, now I want to go look at other women and look at other, so the temptation is there. But when you have everything that you want in a person, there's no need to look. I felt bad, like I told you this.
And let me clarify, and you shouldn't even be looking even if you don't have everything, because if you're in a relationship, you just shouldn't be doing it, right? If you feel like your partner is lacking something, that's something you need to be discussing with your partner, or you need to go ahead and get out that relationship, because you should, because I was just saying, like, you can have a partner and not think that you have everything that you want in your partner. That don't mean you get to go do that stuff. Like, no.
Well, that goes back to the love and the respect.
Right. You just be respectful. Like, hey, honey, this is where I feel things are lacking.
You got to get some boobs or something.
And you got to communicate that. No, I'm just saying, like, that's not even fair. Like, just because you think your partner doesn't have something that you want, like, that's, to me, I'm sorry, man, but I keep seeing, like, y'all falling for the dumbest.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Dumbest. Like, y'all are literally letting women ruin your entire lives. And I am so flat. Why is this still happening in 2025? That's what I want to know. Like, because you all should be insulted, because that is indicative that men are capable of learning, maybe. Because I promise you, like, why are you still doing the same? Y'all are letting women tell you that kids are still yours, that's not yours, and you're not getting a test, and you telling the government, hey, go force us to get a blood test. Why does the government have to force you to get a paternity test when you can do it yourself? Y'all
because I know that's my baby.
I'm just saying, it's just so, like, the things I am still seeing right now today, where people hold marriages, hold relationships, everything, careers, everything being destroyed by women. And I am just like, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, you're gonna find very little, a small number of women that are allowing men to destroy them to that extent, unless they're in domestic abuse relationships. But for most part, you're not gonna have women. If it was reversed, you think women gonna be claiming babies that's not theirs?
You got women that have babies that don't claim them as theirs.
Thank you. So I mean, just like I'm so confused. Like, what is going on?
But
like seriously.
But no, that's like we
destroy whole lives.
Yeah, and where that came from was we selling our RV, right? So somebody came to look at it, and this guy was talking about going to Bike Week, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I had to stay away from Bike Week because I used to go down there for the wrong reasons. And this dude here with his wife, and, my wife and her and his wife and they're taking care of the business for the RV, and he was like, well, I still go down there for the wrong reasons. Oh, okay, well, he was like, well, she already, and these people like 60 plus, and he's like, well, she already told me as long as I look, I can't touch, I can look. Like, so I was like, yeah, that's where it started looking, because she, just like you just said that to me, she mess around, turn her head and go somewhere, and somebody look back and think you're gonna give them some money,
right,
or something, and now they're looking and turned into something else. So,
but even look at these celebrities. I mean, who was that basketball player that had the thing, child support and all that stuff?
Oh,
Anthony, like, are you serious? What is going on here? Like, are y'all? I don't know. I'm confused. The whole career is being ruined.
Yeah,
for women.
I'll say this, and
I'm a woman, right? But I'm just like, hey, y'all, why y'all don't let me destroy your career, your life?
What you mean don't let you? You better not be trying to destroy nobody's life.
I said, me.
Oh,
me. Like, don't let me destroy. Like, come on, y'all gotta get together. I just feel like y'all really need to get together.
No, it's Brad. Matter of fact, Brad. I think Brad just left. Oh no, he's still there. I asked Brad a while ago, right?
Feeling need to ruin a man's life. Why do y'all let them know?
Hold on. I didn't know you were still on B. I asked Brad a while ago, right? When he first met his wife, and me and Brad, we used to walk through the mall, go everywhere, and Brad just disappeared. All you seen was Brad and his wife. Mm-hmm. And I was like, B, how you just do that cold turkey? Like, Brad used to have a whole lot of people. He did his thing. I'll put it like that. How you just do that cold turkey? And you never still gave me an answer, B. But anyway, but I seen Brad maturate to just going from, having women and then just being with his girlfriend, turning into his wife and all of that. And I never understood how he did that until I met you, because I did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think, Brad, you did tell me one time, you said something about like, man, I got everything I want. She played basketball with me. We have fun together. This, that, third. I still understand that, because then I became at the peak of my man superpowers. Mm-hmm. So I was doing what he was doing, whatever. And then, I met you and I understood it more. That temptation goes away it goes away a lot. I ain't gonna say 100% when you meet somebody that sparks your interest. But then when they become what you realize you wanted, you don't really have those temptations anymore. I
don't know, because there's a lot of people that doing that still and claim they want their spouse.
Yeah, I'm confused but they don't on here. That's because they probably didn't let the outside world get into them.
I think it's the socialization where men are continually being taught, and the lessons that are being taught is that it's okay to do these things. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you're doing so. Like, because like the guy. It doesn't mean I can't go look. And maybe he doesn't have any intention of cheating on his wife. But like, why would you even think that's okay? So men are continually still being taught this. They still think that these things are okay. It's okay for me to look at someone's butt. It's okay for me to do this and that. It's okay for me to do that because I'm not actively cheating. Or at least that's what they think they're not doing. They're actively cheating, right? So I
think if we use it, I think if men use it, like I use it as a recovering alcoholic, I'm a recovering cheater. so if I engage in cheating activities, I may fall back. Like if you're a recovering alcoholic and you take a drink, you may fall off the wagon and start drinking again. So I'm not even going to engage in that.
It's like, who's that guy, the guy that the analyst or whoever was that saying? He kept talking about the lady, the big breasts. That's why I stayed away from her. Yeah. I stayed away from her because her breasts were so big. And it was funny when he was saying,
he said the truth because I know me.
So I stayed away from her. So it was like, but I don't know. It's concerning though that I'm still seeing these things happening with men, and it just is. It's concerning. I'm not understanding why that's still happening. Why women are still being allowed this? Why you still got people signing birth certificates and not checking to see if a kid is theirs? That is still flabbergasted.
Well, Brad, the reason women feel the need to ruin a man's life is because the same reason men feel the need to ruin a woman's life, because we could do the same thing. It's just that they act more. I think women act more off emotions. So if you number one, let me say this, especially me.
But you can't ruin a person's life unless you allow them to.
Well, no, yeah.
Right? I mean, your life can't be ruined by anything unless you allow me to ruin it.
Well, yeah. I was going to use what's her face, my child's mother, for instance. Like a lot of things other than her just being crazy. A lot of things she's doing, I think, is 50-50. Is because I quote unquote hurt her, and as well as her being crazy. So the actions, because I did it, how I was dealing with her was inappropriate. Mm-hmm. So, with her being literally crazy, the reaction to that is her trying to, even when she tried to attack you and tell certain lies that I wasn't doing, that was to try to ruin my life or ruin my relationship or whatever it was, right? And that's because of the things that I had did to her. Mm-hmm. And I think the other, and this is the God honest truth, I think the other part of the women that quote unquote try to ruin our lives is because look who you're dealing with. Why would a woman feel the need to ruin your life? Well, once you realize what type of woman that is and you continue dealing with her, at that point you allowing her to ruin your life just as much you are ruining your own life.
Right. Because
you can tell what this woman is about and what that person is about 90% of the time, right? Because most of the time, guys, we out here trying to date to get whatever we can get sexually. So you're going into it wrong anyway. Mm-hmm. And then you're playing with somebody's emotions. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we could question why would women want to ruin our lives, but then we ask why would we want to play with somebody's feelings?
Yeah.
So because I don't think a man ruins a woman's life by playing with her feelings and her emotions, because that scars her more than anything else in the world. You have a girlfriend here, girlfriend there, you call her your girlfriend. So you're messing with her emotions, right? Can women ruin men by playing with their emotions? Yes, right? But to me, it's more prevalent that we do it to women than they do it to us. So they can ruin our lives way worse than we can ruin theirs. You can't see your kid. Child support. You got a court order and you can't get your kid because they decide they want to lie in court and all this stuff because of what you've done.
But even then, so though, especially with the climate that we live in right now, with the sexual assault, and most of the time that stuff doesn't sway in the man's favor, right? No. So then why then are men still putting themselves in situations where a woman can even say that they were sexually assaulted or sexually or raped or touched inappropriately? Why are that? And that's my concern. Like, I understand how men do women's, and I don't condone that at all. But my concern is the fact that men are continually putting themselves in situations where they maybe haven't done anything, but aside from being stupid, and what the climate is, and you got women that's hollering rape and hollering sexual abuse when they haven't even been abused, and you have men that are willingly participants to being treated, to being called that, or to ruining their lives, like I said, their careers and everything.
Yeah, because we got two heads and one of them don't really think too well.
Apparently not. It's confusing. So it definitely is.
But
so that was it's been kind of bugging me. But anyway, what was your last one?
No,
You said something about chores, but I think we talked about chores though.
Yeah, I think so.
About how chores can
Yeah, I seen
lead
that.
to happiness, right? And then we talked about couples therapy too. Now,
Which
whether
we still got to do that. Well, I think that'll be very interesting because I still think a lot of people don't understand what therapy is. Like, I think I can't emphasize enough. Yes, when you have problems, you talk to your therapist or go to couple therapy. But if you get there before the problems actually start, then like we've said several times before, it helps tremendously because now it's not like a surprise we hear and then we realize, like, for instance, us, right? I'll use us for instance. Well, most of the time when we're talking to our counselor, we're just having conversations about her life, what we did vacation wise, this, that, and third, everyday conversations like you would talk to your friend, right? So, but starting off with that, this is how it works for me, and I see it working. Starting off with that, we didn't have really any type of real problems, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a foundation, a relationship built with her, and then once we started talking to her and then having whatever little issues, it wasn't like a all of a sudden thing, mm-hmm. like we haven't been getting along so long, and now we need to talk to her,
right?
Because I think when the relationships get to the point of the breaking point, and then you go to the counselor, to me, that might be a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Because now you trying to unwrap and unfold everything that didn't happen over the span of time versus being able to talk through it in real life time. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't, it's easy to get through, I'm mad at you because you left your bra hanging on the bed and you've been doing that for 2 weeks. And now it's the third week, so now we're talking about it in the counseling versus you left your bra here, you left your shoes over there, you left this over here, you didn't do this, then the third, and now we're 3 years down the line, and I done a whole host of things, and we're trying to get everything solved for that happened in 3 years.
Right.
So we're sitting here, right? So
I definitely think that's too good. People should go. I think I look at mental health and counseling as a proactive. Mm-hmm. It's what you do to keep things healthy, right? And so I really advocate for people to even put their kids, like, it's okay for your kids to go to counseling, because for some reason we think counseling means that you have something going on necessarily. It doesn't mean, even for little kids, it doesn't mean that you have something going on. But I think that we would be silly to think that people, even as young as children, are not being exposed to things, are not even in the household that you may not even know, being exposed to some things that could potentially lead to other problems later on in life that could actually be taken care of at a very young age, or can be explained at a very young age. And so you have these people who have situations that have happened to them, things that have happened to them in school. Maybe a teacher, made them feel like they couldn't succeed academically, and that's going to impact them for the rest of their life potentially. Or maybe something else happened to them in school, or maybe this happened, and we're not even seeking counseling for our kids. And so you have these little kids who are growing up into adults that have all this stuff that's coming even from childhood that's impacting how they engage in relationships later on. And so now you have adults with issues that they haven't resolved, trying to get into meaningful relationships and trying to love someone when at times they haven't even loved themselves appropriately. And it just leads to a host of problems. So I'm really big on people using therapy as a weapon, right? Weaponize therapy to the point where you're using it to make sure you're the best version of yourself possible, and that your kids are the best version of themselves before you are even getting into a relationship or considering a relationship with someone else. And I think if we focus on that, if more people did that, we would have a less lot of problems in marriages and relationships and divorce rates and things like that.
I agree.
And I think that is super important. So couples therapy is important. Therapy before you become a couple is important.
Well, therapy for yourself,
is
because that's what we do. We'll do a couples therapy, and then we have our individual sessions. So
it's definitely
and I am one of those people was one of those people against therapy. And I've discovered things that I don't like about myself that I realize But dang, I ain't know I had that going on, right? Oh, I didn't know that I had that going on. And I still wrestle with certain things, like as far as how I should feel, or am I right on this, or am I right on that? But it definitely gives me a different perspective, and it challenges me to become better. Because even if I think that I'm right on something, I find out you can always find out that there's another way to do it.
Right.
Right. And so it challenges you to become better. It challenges you to see a different perspective in whatever it is in life. Yeah. Then it also challenges you to deal with your own issues, and that's still a hard part with me. I'm not even gonna lie. Dealing with some of the issues that I have, because I've said to her and I said to the counselor, like, why do I want to bring up and talk about things that hurt me or that's going to cause me mental anguish? But what I found out, and my wife told me this prior, and I still wrestle with that. I do understand what she's saying, and I believe it. But I found out, like, it manifests itself in different ways of your life. So, which is still wrong for me. What I try to do is understand where it's going to manifest itself, so I make sure it don't, and still don't really want to necessarily deal with it because it bothers me too much, and that still ain't the best way. You know what I mean? So again, like I said, it's finding the right method for you.
It is.
So, but
anyway, definitely. And then you had on here, should couples live together before marriage?
Ooh, that's a good one too. We ain't have enough time for that one. But yeah, that one right there is a good one.
Well, just right away, should they?
I don't know. What do you say? I think yes. No, but so it depends on where you're looking at it from. We did it. As a matter of fact, I've done it a whole lot of times. But
when have you not done it?
But what I'll say is this, right? If we're talking from a Christian and a biblical standpoint, no, of course not.
I don't know. The
statistics. Shacking is wrong, though.
Statistics are still showing
so
that
you're gonna live with somebody and not have sex with?
No, I'm saying it's still showing that people who cohabitate first have the highest rates of divorce for some reason. And I think what happens is that
go the opposite way.
No, I think that people develop this false sense of what life is going to be like married because they're cohabitating. And I think people are shocked when they find out that things still change quite dramatically when you marry someone. So you could be living with someone and thinking that everything is going to just be the same because all this marriage is a piece of paper, and it's definitely a lot more than that. Because I'm sorry, sometimes when you're cohabitating with people, you may have a partner that still think they're just doing some of the stuff they're doing out of the niceness of their heart and the goodness of their heart, and they don't really have to do it. Marriage takes that and changes it to a completely different game. Now in some ways, you're obligated to do certain things that you didn't really feel like you were obligated to do before because now you're married. And so I think that people are still shocked. So you have people that's cohabitating, they think everything is going to go down the same lines and be the same once they get married. And then once they get married and they find out that, you can't just take the car like you wanted to and tell your partner they can't use it really like that because the law is not going to be on your own side like that anymore. That's just an extreme example. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that I think that happen that changes the relationship, and people are not prepared for that.
I can understand what you're saying, but I don't know if I agree with that all the way. Because, and I didn't even know that you did the research on that statistic, because I think that the person themselves tells you that what you have to, when I say tell, not physically or verbally tell you, but their actions and their demeanor and who they are tell you what you can and can't do.
What you mean by that?
I'm going to give you an example. For instance, when we bought the boat, right? Mm-hmm. Normally with D, D said something to me on the boat like, "Hey man, when can I come get the boat?" Like anybody else I was dealing with, I was like, "Man, I don't care. I'll give you a key," and wouldn't really care about him getting the boat whenever he wants to. Just let me know you're gonna get it, because I know if he break it, he's gonna pay for it, whatever it is, right? But your demeanor and who you are as a person wouldn't allow me to do that. Said that I couldn't do that. No, you didn't physically say, "Hey, yeah, no, you're not about to do that." But I knew that wouldn't have been okay with you. just for me to be like, hey, yeah, here, come get the boat, or hey, this, that, and the third. So although we were living together, even if we wasn't living together, that's just like a no-go. Who you are as a person, I think who a person is as themselves tell you what you can and can't do.
No,
because hold on, because here's the thing. Even like us living together, I wasn't really in that mode then, but us living together, I still would have knew from who you are and how you interacted with me, I can't stay out, or you wouldn't want me staying out to 4 or 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I guess to your point, so at that point, us living together and you start complaining, then yeah, I can up and leave. Like, yeah, I ain't
That's
about to do
saying.
this.
Being
married, then yeah, you may be a little bit less likely to up and leave.
I think it goes even further than that. There's certain things that kick in a person's brain that even when they were talking about how the whole friends with benefits, the difference between that and somebody being in a relationship with people, that's because there's different aspects of that relationship that kicks into force, whether you think so or not, once you become committed on a different level. So you could be cohabitating with someone, and that's a good example. I mean, just how our relationship isn't the example of all, but I'm saying some people in that situation where a man may have felt freely able to go and hang out with his friends, once he gets married, maybe feel obligated more to stay at home. Like, oh, well, I can't just do like I want to do.
That's the stigma on that thought.
But I'm just saying, some people feel that way. Oh, I can't do what I can't move like I would have normally move about. Or she's putting certain, maybe the spouse now, because they're married, is saying demanding more. No, we're married now. You're not going to be doing that. We're married now. You can't do that. Now you got a whole different thing to think about. Because now if you go through a divorce, right, depending on how long you've been married, now you got to think about, okay, well, they going to try to sue me for this. Are they going to try to sue me for that? Are they gonna get this? So now you got that, all of that to think about. So there's some different things that kick into place. And I think when people cohabitate, they think it's going to all be the same, and it's not. Whether it's your spouse imposing more restrictions now because you're married.
That also what keeps people from that men anyway. That's also what keeps a lot of men from getting married because of that too.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. But I think that's why I don't think that people should necessarily live together before they get married, because I think it helps them develop this false sense of security in a relationship, the false sense of what things are going to continue to be like, and that's not necessarily the case. You have plenty of people who think that once we get married, he's going to stop cheating. But once we get married, it's not. It doesn't change like that. Sometimes things actually get worse.
Well, I'll say this. For me, I think it helps, because here's the thing. If I'm the type of, like how I used to be, and if I would have remained that person, like I was steadfast on, ain't nobody about to tell my mother and father ain't tell me what time to come in the house. So, and I'm not about to let a woman tell me what time to come in the house. So if I started living with you and I had that mentality, and you start saying, why are you coming in the house? They're like, yeah, I'm about to leave.
Right.
So now if we don't live together, and then all of a sudden, because when you're not, Jill, I'm just gonna stay on that. If I'm not living with you and I'm coming in the house 4 or 5 o'clock, you ain't gonna say nothing to me about coming in the house 4 or 5 o'clock.
I don't think there's anything that you can't learn from your spouse living apart than you can. There's nothing more. And what I mean by that is that if I know that I don't have to live with you to know that you come in the house at 4 o'clock in the morning. Because if you're my boyfriend, there should be some type of communication in that relationship where I know, okay, yeah, he hangs out with his friends at 4 o'clock. You didn't gotta say it to me. I didn't call you. You was out with your friends. Something where that's not the only way I would know that, us living together. So then if I don't like it, I would know that I don't like it, and I would have voiced that to you before we got married. So I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what it is at all. I think, again, people just, for example, I'll give you a good example. Like Jermaine, if you know Jermaine, you know he be messy. He's messy, right? As far as clothes and stuff, like he's just messy. So there's things with us living together. It's like, okay, you know, I keep leaving his shirt on the floor. But if we're cohabitating, I can just be like, if I just finally got tired of it, okay, you know what? You can't stay here no more because you too messy, right? Once somebody get married,
You still can say they can't say that.
I didn't say that, but I didn't say that, but it's gonna be a lot harder to get. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a lot harder to get out.
I get your point.
Like it's not like I can just be like, dude, you gotta go stay. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be with you no more. We need divorce because
take my shirt off and throw it right on the floor. I ain't gotta get that up no more.
No, but
I ain't going nowhere now. I'm about to leave my shirt, my drawers, my left sock, my right shoe.
I'm talking for people who don't have attorneys.
You don't have an attorney.
And who don't have the skills of an attorney that can just
no. Hey,
some people be like,
this is recorded and this will be used for evidence.
No,
I can't go. I'm about to leave the right side of my drawers.
Seriously, I don't think that there's anything you can't. I don't think you
I get you.
anything more you can learn just by living together with someone that you can't learn not living together. But I don't think people should do it because I think it develops this false sense. And matter of fact, I think to a point, it fools people into thinking that they want to be married to a person that they maybe don't want to be married to, for real. Yeah, because you don't have time to be away from that person. Most of the time, if y'all cohabitating, y'all don't have weeks apart from each other. Kind of be like, I don't know if I really want to be with him like that, or be with her like that. You don't because you're living together already.
I came to your house and never left.
But I'm just saying, like,
stop saying what is the truth.
That's not true, y'all. Don't listen to him.
The first night I spent the night, I ain't left.
My point is,
that ain't a good point.
My point, yes, it is. My point is that people may be fooled into thinking that they want to be with somebody that they want to be with because they're cool.
No, I get that. I understand.
And that's my point. So, and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't. So I don't think people should do that. I think people should stay in their separate locations, date, get engaged.
So back to the messy thing, right? But so you think about this though. But how are you gonna know if somebody messy though?
You can go right house and know they're messy.
Most people gonna clean their house up before
they don't even do that for so long though. Because if they clean, if you dating someone, I should be able to drop by your house whenever. Now, if I can't drop by your house whenever, that's a red flag.
One red flag.
I don't need to be with you then.
Popping up in my house whenever you want to. That ain't
well, so like I said, that would be a red flag.
What is a red flag?
If the person is your partner and y'all are together, you've been together any certain amount of time, your partner should be able to just stop by your house. They shouldn't have to call you, hey, can I come by? What? Why you gotta call first? For what? Especially if you're engaged or something. Why they gotta call before they come by your house? That doesn't even make sense at all.
Yeah, you just don't come by my house.
And then again, somebody just throwing some clothes in a room or throwing some stuff around or half cleaning. So I just don't. And then they would run other parts of their lives that would be indicative of the fact that they're not organized like that. Disorganized people in one area of their life normally are disorganized in other aspects of their life too. So it's not like you're not gonna know. You're gonna have some type of red flag. So you don't have to live with a person. My point is, I don't think people should cohabitate before getting married. I think it destroys marriages. I think it gives people false sense of security, false sense of what their relationship and their marriage is gonna be like based off of what they play marriage is like. And I just don't think it's a very good thing at all.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to sneak somebody in your house when you ain't got nobody there neither. Because you pop up if you want to, at least you can't tell me to get out at that point.
That's not the point. The point is...
My bad.
Anyway, okay, so he has to go cook because it's his night to cook.
But she ain't cooked all week. She's just been buying
I did cook.
Stuff.
No, I did not cook them breakfast for dinner the other night. Well, don't do that. I definitely did. So now
I'm gonna go boil 8 eggs.
And it's late, so he needs to get on it.
I'm gonna go boil 8 eggs, and that's gonna be their dinner.
Whatever. All right.